Welcome back to the Witch's Way podcast. This is Kat.
And Jayme. And tonight we're going to be talking about manifestation magic and how to attract what you truly desire. This is going to be a sort of deep dive into manifestation techniques that really work for us.
I love starting this with a question. What does manifestation mean to you? Why do you think we have a hard time with it?
Okay. Well, that could be the whole podcast. Just answering that one question.
It really could be.
It really could be.
And this for our listeners too. Like,
yeah,
what,
ask yourself that. Yeah, it's
what
good.
do you, what is manifestation to you?
Yeah.
And why do you think we have a hard time with it? I think it's something to really reflect on. But we'll talk about
it lets you know your blocks. Yeah.
Our thoughts.
Yeah.
Our what we feel.
How I define it. Because I think that I've probably looked it up from lots of people's perspectives of what they think manifestation is. But I feel like it's really important for you to have your own idea or definition of it for yourself, even if that means it's the exact same as somebody else's. But like, be able to define it for yourself.
Yeah, because you got to have the understanding.
You do, yeah.
Of what it is.
You got to know deep.
You have to know.
Deep
you have to know
soul.
what it is.
So for me, to answer the question, manifestation for me is being able to bring something into my current reality that didn't exist before. And that's like, it's so broad and it can mean so many different things. And there's so many ways you could do that. But energetically, you would be calling something into your current reality.
I would define it slightly different than that.
Of course, good, yes.
So slightly different than that. I think it's changing your current reality. Like altering it in a way that you want to an outcome that you want to see. It's basically the same thing, but I'm using different words.
The way you think about it is just, it's what works for you.
So why do you think we have such a hard time with it? And this is for our listeners too. Why do you think we have such a hard time?
Why would you have a hard time with it? Why have you had a hard time with it? Because manifestation is spells as well.
Manifestation is absolutely spells.
Manifestation is spells.
If you
spells
can't manifest, you can't have successful spells.
Right.
Generally speaking, I would say that's true.
They're extreme. They're the same, if not extremely similar, but for me it's the same thing. It's just a different name for it.
It's the same thing.
But I think overall why people, even me, have a hard time with it when we're asking for something is that we have such routines that are ingrained in us of what to do. And one of the ones that I had to get through was like, you only acquire things through hard work. And that's just not true. There's so much evidence in the world that that's not true, but we make ourselves believe things. We tell ourselves that same story over and over and over again. It's really fucking hard to break that.
Well, and that ties right into the book that I've been listening to called The Creation Frequency, which is about intentions and manifesting the life that you want. And what the author talks about is our subconscious, how everything that, we're acting so much on our subconscious. And so, you talk about, because of our routines. Yeah. So our routines are in our subconscious.
Yeah,
we are doing them. When you think about, you get in a car to drive. And when you were first learning to drive, you had to think through every step that you did. Mm-hmm. Put on your seatbelt, put the car into gear, check your mirrors, back up, do all these things.
There was
right?
a checklist.
There was absolutely a mental checklist.
Yeah.
And you don't think about it anymore because it's ingrained. So many of the things that we do in our lives are ingrained.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to get to that subconscious level of thinking where we're on automatic pilot.
Yeah.
To be able to manifest. So we have to get through to that, or we have to. I'm not really putting it in the right words. I think it's creating this. I can't.
I think about it as awareness of what our autopilot is. Mm-hmm. The moment that we're not in control of our thoughts and they're wandering and they're playing these little scenarios out, we're going to these different things. There's, you just kind of. You autopilot yourself somewhere. Yeah. I mean, driving a car is just such a perfect example because I do that too often where I get in my car from your house and I'm driving home and it's roughly 15 minutes, right? And sometimes I'm like, I don't remember passing certain things. It was oblivious to me.
Absolutely.
And I could be singing songs where I'm imagining the video to a song. Mm-hmm. I'm playing out different things in my head. I'm listening to an audiobook, so I'm envisioning that whole fucking movie in my head.
I always get lost in my audiobooks.
I know.
So much time can go by.
Oh my gosh.
I could drive hours.
I know.
listening to an audio
and remember
book
nothing that you saw.
remember absolutely nothing I saw, nothing that happened.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, 200 miles has gone by.
Well, so in the same way that we sort of have this autopilot for that, I think that we're also really used to being, and I think many of us women face this, right, with all of our fucking responsibilities and all the things that we do and care for. We are so used to that feeling of like, we're overworked, we're tired, we're undervalued in different ways. So we're still trying to prove or earn our way into these other areas of life. And we get stuck in the routine of like doing it physically and trying to show up for everybody and not always showing up for ourselves, and not saying like self-care is what I need. That's a way that you can show up for yourself. And I just think we get disconnected from our passions. And so you just allow that autopilot to keep going throughout our lives, where we never stop and take a break and say, I want to change this, I want to fix that. So when we talk about manifestation, I think a lot of people are like, that's bullshit. I tried it once, or I did this thing, and they do it for a day or a week, but the consistency is not there. The breakdown of the old habits is not there. The breakdown of the routine, the getting out of the autopilot. And that's why we're doing this deep dive into manifestation techniques that really work for us. Because there's all that going on.
Yeah, so I think, one of the core things about manifestation, or understanding on a core level of manifestation magic, is getting clarity.
Definitely,
so, deciding your energetic state, getting clear, crystal clear on what you want. So when I hear witches ask for a spell, because I follow a lot of Facebook groups just to kind of stay tapped into what people are talking about and see if anything interesting comes up. And I always want to respond when somebody says, I need a spell for such and such, because I think in my mind, just from my reading and my little bit of experience with spells are actually really pretty easy. Spells are manifestation, which is why I'm talking about spells. Because what you have to do with the spell, you can use somebody else's words or your own words. Spells are manifestation. You use your own words or your own thoughts. But you have to know what you want. Precisely, not what you don't want. You have to know what you want exactly. And you have to be able to verbalize that, or write that down, or communicate that with the others.
Or have it as a visual that defines all of the characteristics and I can't talk. Characteristics and aspects of the outcome that you're looking for. That one was hard for me.
So getting very clear, having a really clear picture. I like visualization.
I am such a visual person, so I have to visualize it.
Because you can imagine in your mind the life that or the scenario, whatever it is that you're trying to create.
Your desire, whatever the desire is.
Desire is a new job, a new love, a new home, health, abundance, whatever it is. But you got to be able to picture that or feel that in your heart. And that's, I think, where the clarity comes in. And I think that's why it's hard, because there's so much stuff going on in our lives all the time that it's difficult for us to focus.
Yeah, to take that break away, right? To step out of that. It's literally like putting on a whole different outfit. I mean, you really have to undress all of your current things that you're holding on to and what you're worried about, and you have to get into this other place of like, I'm just creating with energy right now. When you were talking, it made me think of something. And I've heard this from so many people when I talk about spells or manifestation or even intuition or intentions. All of these things sort of get brought up at the same time. Did you ever have a time when something was going on in a classroom? For me, a lot of people talk about it in school, where they just knew the teacher was going to call their name, or they knew something was going to happen. And like they felt it moments before it happened. They were like, oh my God, they're about to say my name. And they just knew it. And part of me has always wondered, do we manifest that moment, or was that intuition telling us it was about to happen? Because I do feel like the intentions with intuition and manifestation, I think they have a connection there. There's a thread that goes through all of them.
I agree.
But have you ever had that happen to you?
Yeah, I've had that happen to me.
Right?
Yeah.
Every person I've ever talked to, even like doubters and people who aren't witches, they have scenarios like that where they say, I was sitting in class and I just knew. I knew the teacher was about to call my name for something. Read out loud, whatever. I can't think of anything else.
And there's probably a big debate that we could have about, did you manifest it or did you intuit it?
Did you know that was coming?
Or are they the same thing?
Ooh. I'm just saying that when you set intentions, that is getting very clear about what you want.
Yeah.
So it's in line with the manifestation where you have to get very clear about what you want.
So if you're saying, I know the teacher's going to call on me, I know the teacher, just like I know I'm going to get a raise, I know I'm getting a raise. If you say those things to yourself, it's the same thing.
It's also the same thing of, I know this motherfucker's about to cut me off in traffic. Like, I try so hard.
We're always talking about traffic here in Florida. It's so funny.
I just spent like 2 hours in it. I know.
I think it comes up on every podcast because it's such a
thorn in my side.
Yeah.
It's such a dingle on my berry. I don't know.
It's a crimp in your style is what it is. It's like, I'm just trying to do my thing. I'm just
trying to go from A to B. Can I just
do grocery shop or run errands or whatever, and all these MFs.
It's always something. But I don't like it when I feel that, and I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. And then it does happen.
You had a big thing with that with cars, where you knew that worrying about getting into a wreck, because that used to be a big fear of yours, would bring that on. So that's the same thing. So you were manifesting that. We know that if we think about something, at least we believe.
What you think about, you bring about.
We know that if we think about something enough, we're going to bring it about. So that's basically what we're talking about.
It is. So you're carrying that energy with you, and you're very clear on it, because you're like, you're trying to say, don't let this happen, don't let this happen, don't let this happen. But what I think a lot of people miss out on is that the universe doesn't speak in don'ts.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't speak in the negative.
The universe doesn't understand negative words. If they hear fight, like, I don't want to fight with my husband anymore, let me not fight with my husband anymore, they don't hear the don't fight, they hear fight, so, and that's a negative word. So the fight is the thing that's going to connect with the universe and what you're going to draw to you. So the other thing about those thoughts, and I think where, having a desire not to, or thinking about getting in a wreck or not getting in a wreck, or realizing that you have to have the mindset of peace and when you're driving, so that you're not thinking about, I'm going to get so that you're not fearful of getting in a wreck. That's kind of easy stuff. But when you're thinking about something big, like, I want to move to Puerto Rico and retire there, that's something big, right?
Yeah.
So so the next part of this is that we have to believe and trust that we deserve to have that life in retirement, wherever it might be, or the love of our, the love that's going to finally be the one that makes us, that we're really able to connect with, or whatever it is that we want to bring into our lives, or get out of our lives for that matter. But we got to have the belief and the trust that we can have it, that we deserve it, and we have to feel confident about it.
Yeah, I wrote down all these words because I often get carried away in the minutia of, like, is this word that word? Is that word that, like, ooh, which word is better? I'm a words person,
Yeah, well,
like,
English
the word
is
carries
a wonderful language, however complicated it may be.
Interesting, yes. So I wrote down believing that you can have it, that you need it, because you almost, it needs to fill a void, because otherwise, like, you wouldn't just wish for a mansion for no reason. There would be reasons behind it. Like, so everything fills a void. So that's the need it part. Deserve it. This was my struggle. Deserve it was my struggle because I grew up believing that you only get things through hard work.
Yeah,
and
that's something you
how
learn
can you
really
be deserving
young.
of something you didn't work hard for? Right? So that was when I was going through all of this years and years ago. Deserving came up a lot, where that got harder when I asked myself, do I deserve this?
Yeah.
Ooh, that was a totally different question. So the way that I think about belief is all of these words fall underneath belief. If I can believe it to be true for myself, that means that I can have it, I need it, deserve it, and I'm confident about it, and I trust it. Like, I have to be able to, like, check all those boxes to know that I'm very clear on what it is that I want, and that, it is made for me.
And all of those words, what they have in common is they're basically the opposite of doubt.
Right.
So if you doubt anything, and self-doubt is a barrier.
Yep.
And the thing that can help with self-doubt is affirmations to,
build confidence.
And
build self-worth. Yeah, I remember, okay, this is a really silly story. It's very silly. But I don't know many people who have ever spent like $400 in a salon. I'm talking about like a hair salon, okay? Now, I'm not the kind of girl that has gone to many salons. I don't get a lot of hair treatments. I don't get like whatevers. I just don't do that. That's never been my thing.
Jayme's not wearing extensions, and she's not going and getting her hair highlighted.
I don't have highlights, dyes, anything like that. For the most thing I do is I get a toner after
You're pretty low maintenance in the hair department.
I am very low maintenance. But this particular day, I bought products. I got my hair like cut, styled, washed, whatever. I'm also getting these things called Goldwell treatments, which is just kind of to help keep my frizz down. It's not quite a blowout, but it's manageable for me. Anyways, my bill I knew was going to be $400, and I kept, like, I wanted to almost hyperventilate. I was like, how the fuck can I justify spending $400 at a salon? Like, that just felt insane to me. Which, by the way, you know, in my place right now, I used to make really, really good money, and I used to take care of myself and my kid all by myself. But now I've let my husband take care of me while Kat and I build this business, and we pursue our dreams and what we want to do. So I have somebody else paying for more than half of my bills, right? My life, my whole entire fucking life. My husband's in charge of. I love him. I can trust him with that. And he never would tell me no, but I would never fucking ask either. Like, that's a beautiful thing. So for me, spending $400, knowing that, you know, my disability check is only $1,100 every month, I was like, what the fuck? I am not kidding when I was like hyperventilating about it. But this was me building the confidence and like the self-worth to say, this is not even a big deal. You know, this is not thousands of dollars. This isn't something anybody would be upset about. This is okay. It still felt like I was that poor, like, unwealthy little girl that could not, you know, afford to buy brand new shoes kind of thing. Like, I had a real fucking struggle with this.
That's how she grew up, because her mother was
we
single
were frugal and we didn't spend money on dumb shit.
3 jobs and to provide, and yeah.
So I had to, when I walked out of there, the story was truly about this. I had to walk out of there like and go, I am worthy of this. Everything is okay. There's plenty of money in the world. I'm not going to go broke. Like, I'm not losing out. My husband's not. I had to like talk myself out of this almost state of
panic.
What the fuck did you just do?
Yeah.
Did you really just go through with that?
Yeah.
Like, because it was bizarre for me. It's like walking in and buying a $500 dress. Why the fuck do you need that dress kind of
yourself
thing?
As you went out, would you consider those kind of like affirmations? Like,
yes,
I deserve this. I'm worth this.
I am worthy of this. Like, everything is fine. I kept telling myself, everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. This is okay. Everything is fine. Like, nothing bad is going to happen because you just spent a bunch of money at the salon. It was this really, even talking about it, I can sort of still feel it in my chest, where it's like, that's just not something I would do. That's not where I would put money. Now, I would pay, you know, $400 for a fucking Reiki session or something, but, you know, like, I would do something else for myself. But for a hair salon, it was the justification there that I had to come to terms with.
That's the thing about the things that we want and that we get in our lives, and that we have to sometimes reconcile. It's like, you know, golly, this was a lot, and this self-doubt comes in.
It does
to play, like, to
make you feel guilty about it, or like you don't deserve it. It's kind of built
into us from, you know, from our upbringing and maybe what people have told us, or maybe if we've struggled in our lives and we, you know, haven't had a lot of money.
You come from that lack mindset.
Yeah, come from that lack mindset.
So I think that that's one thing that I didn't even write that in here, but a barrier, we did talk about a barrier. Did we? Oh my God.
I think so.
I'm looking for the thing where we said the word barrier. Self-doubt is a barrier. That's what Kat said.
Self-doubt's a barrier, yes.
Self-doubt is a barrier, but also a lack mindset is a barrier. Because if anything,
it's a huge barrier. Like, if you want to manifest money, and you have a lack mindset, or you have
or even these for jobs too, like lack of opportunity.
But usually it comes.
A lot of people is money.
Usually it comes with money.
Yeah.
But so if you have a fear that you don't deserve money, that money, you know, that you have to work really hard for money, or else you don't get it, or you don't deserve it in some kind of way.
Yeah.
That's something that you're going to have to overcome. Before you're going to be able to manifest money.
Sure.
Because you got to believe, and you got to trust, and you got to know you deserve it, that you need
that
it,
you can have it, that anybody can have it. Yeah, that there's not a lack. Yeah. So getting out of that was part of it for me as well. Yeah, thank you for listening to my long-ass story.
So the other thing is about aligning your desires with your authentic needs. So we have surface level wants, and then we have deep-seated needs. And so how would you...
Yeah, I was going to say an example of that, right?
Yeah, like, how would you define this?
For me...
Or describe it, or help our listeners understand.
And this is just for me because of who I am and the type of person that I am. This would be different for everybody, but for me, those surface level needs are like, I need to look and present myself a certain way. So my need is to get my nails done, get my hairs done, all 5 of them. Get my hair done.
She has more than 5 hairs.
They've seen me. But get your hair done, get your nails done, have the certain clothes, have the certain purse brand, have clothes brands. Like that is all surface level needs to me, because I don't truly think that helps our soul progression. Whereas a deep seated need, a deep rooted need would be like, I need to retreat to the mountains for a week every year to reclaim my fucking mental health. Like that is going for something that's more of a self-care, deep.
Absolutely. I need to spend time alone. I need to spend time with my crafts, or with whatever it is that brings me peace and allows me to let go of so much of the stress that ends up showing up in your shoulders and your back. And
you got to step out of that sometimes. Take a fucking break from all of the BS in life. Yeah. So for me, that's what I think surface level needs are like. Yeah, they're surface level. They're things that, I don't know, look good on the outside. Whereas the deeper stuff is really about being able to do something that's really good for your soul, or in a group of women, or do something that literally makes you feel more alive. Like, I don't think going and buying that Louis Vuitton purse in Paris is like, that's going to make me feel like the most alive person and so connected, and I feel so good about everything. Yeah. But I understand that there's agendas for things like that. I just don't think that it
sounds to me like what you're describing on surface level needs is kind of like the material world.
Sure, yeah.
The materialistic things that make us feel pretty or important, or momentarily happy because we bought the Louis Vuitton purse, but how long does that last?
Well, are you worthy without those things? Do you feel worth something if you're not wearing those, if you don't have those surface level things?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Everybody thought it was really funny when I had 2 cars, and it was by total accident. But one of them was the PT Cruiser, which I fucking loved, and I drove it all over this country. So many road trips with my son. It was the greatest car ever. But then I had an Audi that was like 4 or 5 years old that I actually didn't like that much because it had leather seats, which I hated. It didn't have tinted windows like my other car. And it was really funny that most people they would say, why do you not drive your Audi everywhere? I'm like, no, I mean, it's an
think of the status symbol behind the Audi,
that's what it is. Yeah. I was like, first off, this car is a pain in the fucking ass. It's $130 to get the oil changed. Again, I'm coming from a place of
really, really expensive to maintain an Audi.
It's just different. I lived in South Carolina. Do you know you have to have a special tool just to change the oil pan? Like, it's not a normal American. No, I had to go to an Audi person.
I can't get under the car and change the oil myself, which I learned how to do, by the way.
Right. I knew how to change. Listen, I could do a lot more for my PT Cruiser than I ever could do for the Audi.
Yeah.
And I was very happy when somebody offered me money for it. I was like, yep, take it, please. I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this. But in other people's eyes, that was that surface level thing of like, how worthy are you? So what we get is this outward expression of worth because other people think and talk about us in a different way, right? So when I would drive into town and I was in the Audi, it was like people would look and stare. But when I was in the PT Cruiser, like nobody was like, who's that? Because listen, I was in a very small town in South Carolina.
Very superficial, right?
Well, you don't see, it's not like there's money out there. Everybody's pretty poor. So somebody driving a car that is an imported car, like if there was a BMW that went through there, people are like, that's a fucking drug dealer. Like there's no way people just have cars like that in this small area. So...
But the point, I guess, of this is about aligning what truly aligns with your purpose.
Yeah, it's your purpose more than like I want to be liked today by everybody. I want to be popular. I want to be famous. Okay, but what does that do for you? What does it do for you to become famous? How are you going to use that as a tool to help other people to do something that really is truly meaningful?
Okay, so all these things we've been talking about have to do with clarity on what we desire. Mm-hmm. We've talked about a lot of different things.
So many different stories. Oh my God. I don't know.
Cars.
Yeah, weird. Not normal stuff.
Money. I think we hit on money.
Money, yeah.
Money.
Lack.
So the next step in this, how to get what you truly desire is grounding that vision. Harnessing rituals and routines that keep us keep manifestation energy flowing.
Yeah.
Which is energy alignment? Yes.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Because the more things that we do that act on what we're trying to manifest, that's energy alignment. You're staying in that energy flow. You're staying in that energy alignment. Like, that's what it is. Now, I will say, and I didn't write this in here either, but like today, when I was looking through my notes on what I wrote, I was like, today is not that day that I'd be manifesting, because I'm very low energy. I spent time with a negative person and I felt drained and zapped. So there are times when it's like, don't beat yourself up if you're not in that energy flow every day all the fucking time. You're just not going to be, right?
I've had this affirmation taped to my mirror in my bathroom.
Yeah, you told me about that.
That I've been repeating, and I got off track, and I haven't probably said it in about 4 or 5 days now.
And that's how it starts. So we create rituals and routines that keep us in that flow, and the reason that we do that is so that we can replace these other not so great routines of, whatever, scrolling Instagram or watching funny cat videos. That's me. Watching Taylor Swift videos, whatever it is. We do these other things that we could be sitting down and really focusing on what we want for the day, what we want for our future, the next week, month, year, whatever. We allow ourselves to get off track.
Yeah, and I think the rituals, like the affirmation I was saying, I taped it to the bathroom mirror because every time I would go into the bathroom, I would read it because it's kind of long as something. And even though I would get it down mostly and I could say it without reading it, I would want to get it right.
Yeah.
Because it was very specific what I wrote.
Which is what you need to do, right?
And so I taped it there with the words, and then I would read it. And I would read it a couple of times when I was in there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. It might have been, I don't think it was the hurricane. I think it was something after. It was the after effects of the hurricane that sort of just put a crimp in my whole life, and not my whole life, in all of our lives, where, everything was...
We were adjusting
we
all
had
over
to
the place.
we had a new reality to deal with because there was so much cleanup to do, and there was so much... After the hurricane, so you have the intensity of the hurricane leading up to it. Then you have the hurricane that you ride out, or whatever you do, you somehow get through it.
I pictured us on surfboards. That was really funny.
Yeah, and then you have the after effects of it. And the after effects of it, I think, are almost worse because now you've got all this shit to deal with. And that's when I kind of got,
off track a little.
I got unfocused because I really had this thing. I was going to repeat this manifestation every day, 3 times a day for 30 days. That was my goal. I didn't make it. So I think we can set intentions for ourselves and we can get off track from them. And then I just think the only thing you can do at that point is to come back and recommit yourself to whatever the rituals are that you're doing, whether you're lighting a candle every day, or you're meditating, or you're journaling. For fuck's sake, me and journaling is like, why can't I ever stay on journaling? I want to journal. I think about journaling, and then I just don't take the time to sit down and write the stuff out. It stays all in my head, and it's so not helpful.
I think of the different spell jars and stuff that I've had around and I have out at my desk. So I have little, and some of them are jars, but other ones are just the little flat trays. It's like an altar, but it's where I burned a candle and then I just add little things to it. When I was doing the money ones, I would just add anything green that I found. Like, it was random shit green that I found, though. Not like just anything, because I'd be bringing in hordes of stuff. It's just a little tray. But if something like popped up, when I found green sea glass at the beach, I was like, oh my God, green. So I just had that color association where when I would see something that was oddly green, I would say the affirmation again. So I kind of had this not quite a routine ritual. It was like, nope, when I see the color green, I say this, or you know.
And I want to say something about daily rituals for reinforcing your intentions. What your intentions is something that you're trying to manage. You have the intent to change something in your life. You're bringing in something to your life, getting rid of it. So even if you get off track with it, you can come back to it and just pick back up.
Yeah, start right back up.
Don't beat yourself up.
No.
I have a money tray, kind of a money spell thing that I did, that I've revisited. I've added money to it. I go over there, I talk to it. I play around with the crystals that are on it. I move some things around.
You're feeding it energy. Listen,
I'm
it's
feeding
good.
it energy.
You're
I'm
feeding
feeding
it
it
energy. That's
but
what we
the
say.
thing that I want from this money spell that I did is big. I mean, it's really big. And I think
Big
when
numbers?
we have big numbers.
Big numbers,
Big
yeah.
numbers, lots of zeros. And so when we have these big things, they take time to manifest. I mean, I feel, and I don't know if you believe this or not, but when we're manifesting something big, and I've read this about manifestation too, that when you're manifesting something really big, like a whole nother life, a whole career of being famous or whatever it is, a whole huge shift, it takes time to come to fruition. And so we can, in other words, we have to stick with it for a long time.
Yeah.
It could be, I think of the guy with the vision board that you talked about.
Yes.
That made the vision board of that he did that for 5 years.
Yeah.
Look at Taylor Swift manifesting a man, that was, I mean, she manifested, you look at her songs, her song lyrics.
Connections.
She manifested Travis Kelce. And I think Travis Kelce manifested Taylor Swift way back when they did the interview with him when he was like, and the kiss is Taylor Swift,
Don't know about that. I love, my mom is such a Swiftie now, it's amazing. I know her music, she knows everything outside of that.
My daughter turned me into a Swiftie when she took me to the Errors movie. Was it not last summer, maybe the summer before?
No, it was this year.
No, it wasn't. It was in the summer. It was last summer. It was at the theater down here in Venice.
Are you sure it was last summer?
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure.
It was that long? Mom,
it was
no.
Not. Listen, all we did this summer was work on Witch School.
No,
we did not go to the movies this year.
But I went to the Errors tour last year.
But we went to the Errors Tour movie. The Errors Tour movie came out.
Last year. Oh,
yeah, it was last year when it came out.
Oh, shit.
So I just went along with her. I was not a Taylor Swift fan. I thought all her music sounded alike. And I really never listened to her lyrics or anything. I just, I was like, Taylor Swift, really? It seemed like really pop or something, like almost teeny bopper stuff to me. That was my impression of it.
Love it.
Hard rocker that I am and all that shit, right?
Motorcycle babe over here.
I accompanied Jayme to the movies because we were hanging out a lot and doing stuff together. We've been working on witch stuff for like 4 years now. So we spend a lot of time together, and I said, yeah, I'll go with you. She dressed up. She had a jacket on that was all decorated and shoes.
It was what I wore to the concert, yeah.
And shoes and stuff like that. And I went with her, and I just went along for the ride. I got beer and popcorn and stuff, and then went down into the movie. And I swear to God, before I even left there, I mean, I was such a fan. It was such an experience. It really changed my life. It really did. I fell in love with her. She was so good. And I got totally off topic.
That's okay. I like hearing about her.
Yeah. So anyway, I was talking about manifesting and how some of the things that we want to manifest can take
a long
time.
Yeah.
They take a long time to come to fruition. And when they're really big, generally speaking, I believe they usually take longer. It's not like you're going to manifest $1 million in a week's time. You might manifest $300 in a month, but for big things that you want, you got to be able to stay with that intention.
You got to sit with it
and stay with that energy for a long period of time. And you need something to sustain you, and that's how these
the rituals
these daily
and practices
rituals can help you. And your rituals don't have to be. They don't have to be 30 minutes.
Or elaborate in any shape.
They don't have to be elaborate. No. They don't have to be really long. But you have to go back and energetically spend time with this with your intentions.
Right, which
So,
I think of as a vision. Like,
Yeah.
I spend time with my vision of what I've created. And each time I do it, the vision gets stronger or brighter. I hear and smell and see new things, That's how I reconnect with it. I don't always have a thing. And throughout my bigger manifestations, I have definitely like switched. Whereas one, I started out with a mantra card that I kept with me,
and that's okay.
And then went to
absolutely do that.
Yeah, and then went to like putting it on a tray with a candle and some herbs. I had that for a while, and then I moved to like a satchel that I carried in my purse because I was traveling a lot. So I've even changed up how I'm connecting with the energy of my vision, for my intention, for my manifestation.
And that's okay. So don't feel like you have to do like,
I get bored.
You can light a candle, and don't feel like you got to light a candle every day for the next 5 years. You can always change that to something else. The point is that you're thinking about and spending time thinking about that thing that you want, and doing something that is a ritual for whatever, whether it's repeating an affirmation, or lighting a candle, or doing meditation, or doing something physical, like you said, with adding things to a tray. I have that tray, the money spell that I'm working on. That's gonna come to fruition.
Right. I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
It's gonna come.
Yeah. Because then you're going to buy me a house in Georgia, right?
I'm buying us a mansion in Georgia that we're going to turn into a witch
retreat school.
A witch
thing.
retreat, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had this, ever since I started with my old job, I've been talking in front of people, which was not something I thought I would ever do. I always thought I was a very shy person. And I am still kind of shy, or I'm reserved, I guess. Maybe I'm not shy, I'm reserved.
Not anymore, she's not.
Oh, well, I can be. But probably last year or the year before, I think I told you, I've brought this up before, like jokingly, but now I'm pretty serious. I want to do a TED Talk. I don't know what it's going to be for. I have no idea. I'm sure it's going to deal with women and spirituality and just like all of the stuff that we talk about now. But I want to do a TED Talk. I am so fucking ready to be in front of a crowd and speak to them from my heart about things that I feel are really important, and to educate people in the idea of, belief in the way of life, and how connecting to something bigger than yourself is.
Totally see you.
Right? I can see myself on the stage.
I can see you on the stage with the big TED Talk thing behind you.
I know, I don't know what stage it's going to be, and I don't have that part of the vision, but do you know what I have like down packed that I've repeated to myself in the car so many times? Like, I envision this thing. So when I'm driving, we were talking about this, but when I'm driving, I envision all these things all the time of like, this is my manifestation, this is what I want, and I talk through it because I'm just sitting there.
It's like a really good, I feel like in the car
for me, yeah,
and just driving, because you are on automatic pilot, I feel like it's a really good time to visit,
to like focus into something else.
To focus in, to like spend time thinking about your intentions and your manifestations.
So I've literally introduced myself to the TED Talk crowds like thousands and thousands of times.
I love that for you.
Thank you. I don't think I've ever admitted that to anybody.
You've never told that part before. You've never told me anyway.
So I've literally practiced saying,
talked about TED Talks, but you've never talked about you've never mentioned that you've
introduced myself.
Introduce yourself. So, and this is how you make things come into your reality. You do these things. You imagine yourself in that space. You feel yourself on that stage. You say the words. You see the audience. You have the whole experience of actually being there.
That's something that I've done. And, in a year or two from now, when I'm doing the TED Talk, I'll be like, and in episode I talked about how this manifestation came about, But I love it. I love finding something that really works for me. And it doesn't mean that it stays consistent through the whole process until I get what I need, want, and desire. But it helps me get through the times where the energy is like a little bit at a lull or low like it is today. And I can still say things like, I'm still working towards what I want. I'm just, today is an off day. Today I'm taking a break. Like I still can envision it, but I don't say all the words. I don't do all the actions, but I still can envision it. That doesn't take as much. And I've started within the last 6 months that some of the things that I'm looking forward to, when I'm going to sleep, I literally put myself saying like, let's go to that place. Let's go to that vision.
That's another really good time to do that.
I love that. Yeah. So like I recreate the scene and I let myself drift off to sleep in that scene.
Yes. Yeah.
Love that.
So the other thing that we can do, we talked about like the car is a really good place, or when you're going to sleep, or wherever you find it. But another thing to do is work with, with nature.
Yeah.
To align ourselves to synchronize with the cycles, or with the moon phases, or with the seasonal shifts.
I find that to be great when it's bigger things and when it's more personal for me. Like, it's not changes that will affect everybody else, but for me, like me letting go of something like a belief, or me changing something about myself, or working on a part of myself, the nature thing really helps for me. Like, that's where I find my power from. Like, I feel empowered by being in nature for those specific things. Although with anything like lack, actually one of the ways that I got over my lack mindset was to see the abundance in nature. Literally every fucking leaf on trees. Like, how many? That's so many. How could there be lack in the world when there's so many of these things? There's so many seagulls. There's so many seashells. There's so many grains of sand. There's so many droplets of water. I would think about that and how it's so expansive and huge, and like, don't have such a limited view on, oh no, scarcity. Yeah.
And I think that, I think the thing with the phases of the moon is like, there's a pattern that repeats and has been repeating throughout time.
Yeah.
Since time began.
Since the beginning. Yeah. So that's where I justify my lull days, right? So I always think about the moon basically in two phases. We're either growing something or we're discarding something, right? So in the times when the moon is growing, I really try to practice that growth mantra, where I'm really like, I'm building to something. It's, it's coming to me. It's coming. It's almost here. It's almost here.
Yeah.
And then when, like we're in the waning phase where it's getting smaller. New moon is in like 2 days, Thursday or Friday.
I guess my alignment is with the full moon, when everything is like, I really connect with the full
illuminated,
moon. But this particular new moon happens to be the Scorpio full new moon, and on November 1st, which is mine. So that's my sign. So I'm really connecting with the energy around this moon and thinking about, I'm actually going to join the gym because I don't feel like I'm going to go back to the gym.
You're going to go back?
I'm going to go back, yeah. I looked up what it costs. I just quit the gym like 3 months ago, right?
No, it's been longer than that. We quit earlier
I
this
actually
year.
went and like canceled my membership probably 3 months ago. And then I realized I'm just not getting the workouts. I'm just not getting the amount of, the walking's just not
doing it for you.
I need more. I need the weights, and I bought a weight bench, but it totally screws up the vibe of my lanai. So I'm going to get rid of it. I need to go. I feel like I need to go and want to go because it's good for my body. I have like osteoporosis, whatever that's called.
Oh, geez.
According to my doctors, where you're like pre-osteoporosis, they call it something. And so one of the recommendations of my doctor was to strength train. So I'm going to go back. Yeah. I'm joining it. That's what I'm doing with this new moon. I'm committing to that.
Yeah.
And because the Scorpio season is about transformations,
rebirth.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing in terms of this full new moon. Sorry.
Yeah, the new moon.
So other tools we can use, journaling for manifestation. I mean, journaling is, even though I have the hardest time fucking journaling,
sticking to
journaling on a regular basis, but it really can help us clarify our desires.
Work through your doubts.
It can help us work through our doubts. Yeah. And also what's really valuable for is tracking your progress so you can go back and see how far you've come. I know you've kept probably many more journals than I have.
Yeah.
And because I've seen yours. I've seen all your writing, and you had them on your desk and everything.
Yeah.
So.
It is I don't go back and read mine very often. I think for me, I need to be many years away from them. If I'm just a year away from it, I was like, oh God, I remember that feeling last year.
Oh, okay.
But if I'm 4 or 5 years away from it, I'm like, wow, really? Did I think that? I question myself because I'm so far removed from it after that.
Well, in terms of journaling for manifestation, we do have a few prompts that you could use for journaling for manifestation. So one of them is, I deserve whatever blank. It is because,
and then you start giving a reason.
how does this desire, whatever it is that you want to manifest, design with my life's purpose or values? I think that's such a good question, because you can really because our very first topic was clarity, getting clear, about what you want. So I feel like that question is a really good question to help you get clear about what you want.
Sorry, that was my kid just calling me. A little ding, 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 ding.
And then maybe another one is to describe a day in your life when the desire has already come true. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel?
That's my favorite one.
That is part of this book, the creation frequency. And the way that the author describes your intentions, writing out your intentions, is that when you write out your intentions for what you want, you're writing it as if you're living it at that exact moment.
Yeah.
So it's not, I want this or I want to manifest this. It's something along the lines of, he uses an example because it's his story about where he was as a younger man, and his wife had left him, and he had a baby daughter and stuff like that. And his number one desire in his life at that time was to reconcile with his wife and be with his baby daughter. And he was working 2 jobs, and he barely had any money. And so he worked with a guy that helped him get really clear on what he wanted. And he wrote it something along the lines, when he wrote about getting back together with his life and having this life with his wife, he wrote it as if it was happening, like something to the effect of, I love that Lisa and I, that was his wife's name, Lisa and I are so happy together. We love each other so much. We respect each other. Our home is, so you write it from the perspective of it's happening right now. So when we say describe a day in your life when this desire has already come true, that is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Think about what that feeling, how you would feel if you already had what you wanted at that moment, and write it from that perspective. Because that's when you get really clear with the universe. And when we always say this, whatever you think about, you bring about. So if you're thinking about, when I'm already going to do this with the house that I ultimately want, because my house is not big enough for all my family, and I want a pool and all these other things, because I had a 2-bedroom house, which was fine for me. But now my grandkids are getting older, and I'd like to eventually have everybody over and, have people come through and stay and stuff like that. I have this dream in my mind about what my house will look like when I can welcome people there and have people that come through and stay, and have my great-grandkids over at some point in time when the boys get older and they have wives and they have children and stuff like that. So I can see that in my mind. I've got this vision of it, but I need to get really clear and write that stuff down. So that's where the getting clear with what you want, imagining that you're in it right now, and what you feel like and what you see, what everything looks like, and really describing your life as if the thing that you want is already there.
Yeah. I want to remind everybody, I know you know this, but I was pointing at Kat when I said that. I'm looking at her and pointing at her. When we are journaling, a lot of times it is happening in our head first before we're writing it down, right? You're thinking of what you're going to say before it goes down. Remember that is all energy being shot out at your goal. You're feeding, at that time, we always talk about feeding spells, feeding your energy to something, to your goal, your desires. When you're writing, that is an energetic feeding that desire, feeding that manifestation. Just to make that clear, why journaling is so productive is that you're working through shit, you have to think through all these other things, but also it's you stay in that energy for a long time. There have been times when I do spells, and instead of saying a mantra, I'll write it down hundreds of times while I'm there with it, especially if it's a really short, easy one. Just sometimes I'll make up rhymes and shit, I'll start singing a song, but writing it down is just as productive and energetically infused with all of your essence and magical being power to get this thing to come to you that you want. Because we talk about journaling a lot, and it can get monotonous and boring. Okay, I know I'm going to journal and write things down, but what does it actually do for us? It energetically puts you in that place of whatever you're writing about.
It really does.
Yeah. It's good. It helps focus. You get into that flow of it, of writing. It's nice.
So with these rituals in place, the next step is to release control and let the magic work. So let's talk about trusting the process and staying open to the unexpected.
Which I always call this the gray area, because the first thing we say is like, get specific. And then they're like, be open to anything. Well, what the fuck is it? Which one? Do you want us to be specific, or do you want us to be open for anything? Like,
Those do sound like contradictory statements.
They are.
They are contradictory.
They are. And the not well-written books or movies or anything about spell work and manifestation, that's what they fail to clarify. That's what they fail to clarify. So I would like to talk about the art of surrendering and staying open. But what does it really mean to be surrendering and staying open when you know you have a specific thing that you're looking for? This is about pivoting. This is where they don't ever use this word. Truly letting go of the control is meaning you're taking those action steps to get what you want, right? You're doing the work. You're journaling. You've got your mantras. You're lighting your candle. You're doing your spell work. You're doing whatever it is. The energy work you're doing towards it.
When you're driving, you're thinking about.
Sure.
You're thinking about.
You're introducing yourself to
focused on
the crowded TED Talks. Like, you're doing the things that still keep you energetically aligned to your outcome. You're still feeding that energy in there. Mm-hmm. But what you're letting go of is anytime something happens where it's like, well, that's not what I wanted. That's not how I thought it was going to go. That's not where I saw this coming from. Those are the things that we can't control. We have no idea how the universe is going to bring us the thing. We have no idea, you know?
I just read something that said the universe says three things. Yes, no, not now.
I love it. Right. So even with the no's, I'm like, I think of it more like yes and then not now. I'm not even sure if there's a no. It's just like not right now, or it's trying
not right now. Yeah.
It's just trying to tell you like it's not the time.
It's not
patience.
For you at this time.
Doesn't mean never. So what I see people give up on the most is they want to put this really short timeline on something. Like Kat said, like the bigger stuff takes longer, and they don't stay committed to what they really want, and they let that dwindle. That's basically like filling a cup of water, you know, and then setting it outside, and the sun starts evaporating it, because over time, like the energy that you did to get the cup, fill it up and put it outside, that energy is gone from that. That's now a still object that's doing nothing, and nature is taking its course. It's bringing it back into balance. It's putting that water back where it came from. Our energy is the same way. We can fill a cup with the energy of our desires and set it there, but if we're not constantly refilling it and adding little drops to it, every time nature comes in to set back in balance and bring that energy back to a state that's like useful and available to everybody else, your shit is wiped away. Mm-hmm. So like that's how I think of the energetic. Fill the cup up and keep filling it. Keep adding to it. Don't let anything drain it. You know, you've got to keep paying attention to it, because otherwise it'll all evaporate.
The important thing to go back to reiterate here from I think our last topic where we talked about, it doesn't require you to spend 30 minutes with it. It just requires your attention. Mm-hmm. Some of your attention, a little bit of your attention, so that you spend some time with that. That's what feeding the spell is. That's what feeding your intention is. That's what staying committed to that goal. How you have to be committed to. I guess it's a marathon and not a sprint, or it can be a marathon and not a sprint, because it depends on what it is that you're manifesting in your life and what your intentions are. Like I said, if it's something really big, it's going to take time for that to come, and you can't. If you give up on it and you just be like, I've been doing this for 6 months, it's never going to happen. You're right. If you say that, it is never going to happen. You got to stay with it, and you got to trust and believe that that's going to happen, because you know what? All things are possible. I mean, we're just all matter here. So in everything, there's enough in the world for everybody. So whatever it is that you want, you can get, because there's enough to go around for everyone. Yeah. The thing that stops us from getting it is our mindset of
our own belief.
Our own belief.
That we can't have it. We don't deserve it. It's not for us. I think the other part of this is that I always find really unexpected, that's happened to me that's unexpected, is I'm thinking I know, or I cannot help myself. I'm sitting here telling you guys to not try to control how things come about, but I can't help but thinking about the 1 million different ways that it could come about. I'm very analytical. I've got that, Virgo, Libra, rising and moon. So I've got the energy of that, of like dreaming of all the ways that things could happen. And I try not to pick any certain one that's like, that's the one I want. So when I think about how it could happen or when it could happen, it's like, nope, the universe will deliver it when it's right. What I do say when I get in this mindset of like, when the fuck is it going to happen? Maybe I go, I'm ready now. I'm ready now. So I just keep telling the universe that I'm ready now. Like if they're ready, if they know I'm ready and they think that everything is lined up, like I'm ready now. I'm ready to handle this. I'm ready to step into this. I'm ready to do this. I'm not going to turn it down. So then I notice what will go along with that is I will have random people talk to me that just for no fucking apparent reason. I don't know why. Did I tell you about the lady that followed us through Home Depot the other day? Me and Jolene?
No.
Craziest thing ever. We're over there looking for gloves. We're in the cleaning aisle, and it's not the gloves, we're in the gardening aisle, and we were looking for gloves that were more for like moving and cleaning. And she heard us talking about something, and then so she just like interjects in the conversation, and then walks away, and then comes back and says more to us, and then walks away. And then as we get told to go to another aisle, she like shows up again and starts walking with us and just starts talking to us about things. It was so random, and I just had this like cheesy grin the whole time, thinking, this is so bizarre. I wonder what the universe's purpose is for putting this lady in our path. She slowed us down, which, we were moving, so we were thinking of going fast, but I did not rush that because I was like, something is important about this interaction or the universe wouldn't have put it here for me. And so there's those little things that's like, that's the unexpected stuff that's like, be open. Just let things
kind of like
come
signs
to
from
you.
the universe, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think of them as that. I'm one of those people that's like, always looking for signs, but not thinking that everything is a sign. It's just when it's really odd, I'm like, that was weird.
I've been doing a lot of that lately. I was like, oh, that's a sign. That's the universe.
It's not everything, though.
No, it's not. No, it's not everything. But I've had some things recently. I'm like, oh, okay. No, I hear you, universe. I'm not sure what the sign means, but I know that it's a sign. That's happened to me recently.
You're acknowledging it. Mm-hmm. That's all I can do too. I'm like, well, I don't know. And sometimes when things are slowing me down, when I'm in a hurry, the one thing that I always think is like, they're keeping me at the right place at the right time. So that I can run into the right person later. And I told Jolene this because she was like, that lady was annoying. She was annoyed by it because she wasn't thinking in the terms of that. She's just in a different place right now. And I go, I thought of this as like a sign. Like, imagine if your spirit guide could just pop in and out, be whoever, take control of something, like throw you into this weird situation really quick, and then just leave you the same way they came in. Like, what was that? What just happened? Why did I have a 10-minute conversation with this stranger for no reason? And nothing she said connected to us either. It was like, she didn't like the sun, the Florida stuff, like the leaving. It was all about leaving Florida and how they're moving up north, to like Gainesville, north in Florida, but like they don't want to go to the beach, they don't want to do any of this, and we're going, we want all those things. Like, we're those people that lay on the beach in the sun. We're the ones that enjoy it. Yeah, but you don't know
how that's going to come back.
I have no idea.
You have no idea how that's going to show up somewhere else. I feel like that. I don't think that's random. I feel like that's something that's eventually going to show up somewhere where you're going to go back. Oh shit, that conversation with it. So I feel like
something different.
I feel something,
right? Because it was just so odd. But
when we talk about manifestations and long term, like big things that you're trying to manifest, like you want a house, you want kids, you want a husband. Those are big. Those are like lifelong goals. Or retirement, and you're younger and you want retirement.
Or travel.
So these things, you can start thinking about them, and I think we should always allow ourselves the opportunity to adjust our desires as we grow, because as time goes by, things can happen and your perspective shifts a little bit, or what you really want. So
the idea of what you want changes.
The idea of what you want. So it's okay to make adjustments to that. I think that's the point that we want to make here, is that if you're manifesting something and then there is a shift in your life, it's okay to adjust adjust what you want as your life changes, as your desire changes, as you grow in your path and you realize, God, I really wanted that big mansion in Georgia, but now I think I'd be happy just to live in the mountains in Georgia. I'm not sure about that. But, the big mansion, it just doesn't appeal to me, or whatever that is.
I have a crazy story for you.
Go ahead.
That just popped in because I haven't thought about this in fucking 20 years. But before I met Cameron's father, I was with somebody in the Navy. Like, we were dating, and this was the first Navy guy I ever dated. And we were good friends for like a year first, and then we both split up with our people, and we came together. And he was probably my first most adventurous love, like spiritually connecting. I'd never had that before. Nobody believed what I believed. So he was like sort of my first witch boyfriend, if you might, right? But he didn't call himself that, of course.
Right.
And we had this great connection for like a year. And then when he got out, before I did, I still had 2 years left in the Navy. We just kind of like, yeah, I'm not doing the long distance thing. Like, maybe we'll connect later. And then my whole PTSD thing happened where I got recorded and all of that. And I used to have a mantra. I used to write on paper every fucking day and I used to say, you know, go home to, in his name, go home to. And I did that for so long, like 6 months, so fucking long. And I finally just kind of gave up on it a year and a half later, where I was out of the Navy. I had Cameron. He fucking showed up in my life and was like, come live with me, come be with me. I will, like, you and your son. He fucking showed up. And I never thought about that as a manifestation coming back later.
Wow.
And I highly fucking considered it when I was leaving Kansas City. And I was, you know, like,
when Cameron was a baby?
He was 5 months old.
Mm-hmm.
I was leaving Kansas City, and I was in this, and I didn't want to be with Cameron's dad. Like, I was in this crazy place. How the fuck did this guy hone in and then say, like, come move to Chicago with me, come be here? And I never thought about that until then, that all that time that I spent writing down his name, and like, I used to say go home to him. I didn't have a home with him. I never even been to fucking Chicago where he lived or anything. But like, that was my desire at the time, was to get that relationship back. And I did give up on it, but that shit came back. Like, it still happened for me.
And so then at that point,
my desire changed.
Yeah, your desire
I was like,
changed.
I can't go do that. I was like, I don't want to do that.
So it's okay to, you know, I mean, to check in. Like, if I have this long-term goal with my money spell that I'm doing, and with the money spell, I have ideas about what I'll do when I manifest that money.
Mm-hmm.
All the things I'm planning to do with it, like the people I'm planning to help. I have this trip to Thailand that I want to take to go visit a guy there that rescues street dogs. And I want to go there and visit his place, and I want to hand him a check for $500,000 to support his efforts to rescue these. That's my goal right now with that manifestation. But you know what? If it takes 5 years or whatever it takes, however long it takes to do this, by the time that happens, I may change. I may not want something else.
Right.
Something may be different about that.
Yeah.
So I guess it's okay. The point is that it's okay to revisit these things and to rethink them.
To pivot.
As you change to pivot.
I just think of a pivot.
Yeah.
The gray area is the pivot. When we talk about be specific but be open, that's just the pivot. That's it. You know? I think emphasizing that desires may evolve and grow, and that's just part of the manifestation journey. You know, just do regular check-ins to ensure that the alignment is what you really want. Like,
and I think you don't have
to
start over. Like, you don't have to scrap what you've been doing. No. You just make an adjustment.
You pivot.
You pivot. You make an adjustment. You rewrite. You write over what you want. You whatever.
Pivot. If anybody knows Friends.
So,
I just think that, you know, manifestation is a journey of self-discovery as much as it is about reaching our goals. So that is why we learn and we get specific, and then we try for it, and then we pivot, and you just keep going like that until you get the thing that you're looking for, until you're living the life that you really want to be living. Don't give up on yourself. Do not give up on your magic. Do not give up on your purpose.
Set your intentions, nurture them with rituals, stay open to the outcome, stay open to your desires.
You just gotta, you know, fill the time that you have with joy, purpose, and a touch of magic, and everything's gonna be fucking gravy, baby. I don't know. What's a saying for that? Carry the practices forward as you learn them, and tell other people about them, and get everybody on this journey of like creating the life that you want and not being stuck in the old routines that don't do shit for us.
Yeah.
Just break free from that. That's what I think manifestation is. When you learn it, you break free from these like chains you never even knew you had around you that limited you on what you could do and how you could live.
And that will conclude this week's podcast.
We love you
we
guys
want
so
you to go out
much.
and feel as abundant, as enchanted as we envision you to be.
That's right. We think you're all out there being enchanted little witches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we will see you next time.
All right. Bye, witches.